Hey everyone, I'm Ronan Blackwood, the youngest son of Theodore Blackwood, who built a $29 million logistics empire from a single truck. This is the story of how my brothers carved up that empire while our father's body was still warm, and how a locked phone he left me changed everything they thought they controlled. It's about losing my family, my home, and finding a purpose worth more than money. If this moves you, anger, empathy, or hope, drop a hi or tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Like, subscribe, or share with someone who needs to hear that the greatest gifts can come disguised as the greatest challenges. Here's my story. The morning my father died, I stood in his hospital room doorway, holding his cold hand, while my brothers divided his empire. Dimitri, 28, pulled out his phone, calling lawyers about the company transition at 6:47 a.m., when the heart monitor went silent. Sterling, 25, had his laptop open, calculating property values, not noticing the silence. The board meeting's at 9 o'clock, Dimitri said, eyes on his screen, not our father's still form, we need to secure the leadership transition before the stock market opens. Sterling nodded, fingers flying, I'll handle the media statement. We can't let this affect share prices. I stood there, wondering when my brothers became strangers, as Theodore Blackwood's sons carved up his $29 million logistics empire like vultures before the nurses came to take him away. 3 days later, we sat in his office for the will reading. Attorney Maxwell Thorne, hands trembling, opened a sealed envelope, looking older than I remembered. My brothers flanked me on the leather couch, in identical Tom Ford suits costing more than most people's rent. Gentlemen, Maxwell began, voice heavy, your father's will is quite specific. Dimitri leaned forward, sharp jaw and cold ambition like Dad's, just tell us the breakdown, Maxwell. We have a company to run. Sterling checked his Rolex, make it quick. I have a meeting with Tokyo partners in an hour. Maxwell read like pronouncing a sentence, Dimitri got CEO and 45% of company shares, Sterling got 45% and the $15 million Manhattan penthouse overlooking Central Park. The BMW collection went to Dimitri, the art collection to Sterling, vacation home split between them. Then Maxwell turned to me, to my youngest son, Ronan, I leave personal item number 7 Alpha. Silence deafened the room, dust floated in the afternoon sunlight, the couch creaked as Sterling shifted. What the hell is 7 Alpha? Dimitri's voice cut like a blade. Maxwell pulled a black phone from his briefcase, not new, not vintage, ordinary, with a biometric lock screen showing a countdown, 243 days remaining. I read it aloud as he handed it to me. Sterling snatched it, turned it over, tried the power button, shook it, this is a joke, right? Dad left him a locked phone while we get a multi-million-dollar company? The will is clear, Maxwell said, the phone belongs to Ronan, and only Ronan. Any attempt to possess or destroy it forfeits their inheritance. Dimitri stood, chair scraping hardwood, there has to be more. What about the remaining 10% of shares? The Swiss accounts? All remaining assets are held in trust, Maxwell replied, condition sealed. That moment, my brother's eyes turned me into a stranger, like I'd stolen something from them. Within a week, they evicted me from the penthouse. Sterling supervised as security packed my belongings into trash bags. Dad was too soft on you, he said, watching them throw my clothes into the lobby, now you'll learn the real world. They kept everything, family photos, Mom's jewelry meant for me, my laptop, claimed as company property. All I had was my beat-up Honda Civic, a duffel bag, and a phone that wouldn't open. On my 18th birthday, at 6 a.m., the phone blazed to life in my car, parked behind a Walmart. The lock screen vanished, a single contact appeared, Theodore's legacy. My hand shook as I pressed call. Dad's voice filled the car, happy birthday, son. You've reached the age. Now the real game begins. I dropped the phone, heart racing, but picked it up as he gave coordinates that would unravel everything my brothers thought they knew. Growing up as Theodore Blackwood's youngest meant living in shadows. Dad built Blackwood Logistics from one truck into an East Coast empire. While Dimitri and Sterling worked in corner offices with floor-to-ceiling windows, I spent summers in the warehouse, learning forklifts and cargo loading. You understand the foundation, Dad told me one July, sharing sandwiches on the loading dock, watching trucks from Jersey. Your brothers see spreadsheets, you see the people who make those numbers possible. I was 15, sweat dripping from moving boxes, they think I'm wasting my time. Let them, he said, biting his ham and Swiss, the view from the top means nothing without the foundation. Our penthouse took the top floor overlooking Central Park, Mom's Italian marble and French antiques each with a story, a Bordeaux grandfather clock, a Florence painting from her honeymoon. When cancer took her 5 years ago, the apartment became a mausoleum, her coffee cup on the counter, glasses marking a novel she'd never finish. Family dinners turned into board meetings at a 20-foot table, Dimitri presenting projections, Sterling countering with market strategies, speaking in acronyms while Marie, our housekeeper, served untouched courses. The Seattle branch is underperforming, Dimitri would say between bites of filet mignon, we should restructure. Restructuring means firing 40 people, I'd point out. Sterling laughed, unkind, stick to video games, Ronan. Leave business to adults. Dad sometimes said quietly, he's right, those 40 have families, but never pushed when they ignored me, just watched with gray eyes holding secrets I couldn't read. The warehouse workers treated me differently, not as the boss's son, but as Ronan, who knew load securing, remembered their kids' names, brought coffee for morning shifts. Your brothers never come here, Samuel, the security supervisor, said, they don't know we exist, except as expense report numbers. Someone should, I replied, checking overnight inventory. Your old man knows, Samuel said, voice strange, he knows exactly who we are. The week before Dad died, he was distracted, staring at photos, giving Marie a raise and 2 years' salary in advance, spending nights in his study on hushed calls. Tuesday evening, he called me in, study smelling of leather and bourbon, walls lined with first edition books. Ronan, he said, pushing a black phone across his mahogany desk, this is yours when I'm gone. Dad, don't talk like that. Listen, his voice urgent, your brothers will get what they expect. You'll get what you deserve. It won't seem fair at first. Don't give up. I don't understand. He stood, looked out at city lights, your mother saw it in you, the ability to see value where others see nothing, to hold on when letting go seems logical. This phone will test that. Promise you'll keep it safe. I promise, I said, struck by his intensity. 3 days later, he collapsed in a board meeting, heart attack, instant, gone before the ambulance came. In his empty study, I held the phone, wondering its secret, not knowing it would cost me everything before showing why I was the son he trusted. The will reading was Thursday, in Dad's office, Maxwell behind the mahogany desk where he'd given me the phone 10 days before. Gentlemen, your father's will has unusual provisions, Maxwell began, 40 years of legal experience in his voice. I advised him to reconsider, but Theodore was adamant. Dimitri drummed his fingers, just read it, Maxwell. We have a company to run. Maxwell cleared his throat, to my eldest son, Dimitri, I leave CEO and 45% of Blackwood Logistics shares with voting rights. Dimitri nodded, unsurprised, he'd been groomed since college. To my son, Sterling, 45% of shares and the Manhattan penthouse, including furnishings and art. Sterling smiled, calculating the $15 million value. To my youngest son, Ronan, Maxwell paused, glancing with pity, I leave personal item number 7 alpha. Silence suffocated, Dimitri's fingers stopped, Sterling's smile vanished, my stomach dropped. That's it? Dimitri's voice low, dangerous. Maxwell pulled out the phone. This device has military-grade encryption and biometric locks, for Ronan and only Ronan. Attempts to possess or destroy it forfeit their inheritance. Sterling laughed, bitter, a locked phone while we split an empire? A mistake. No mistake, Maxwell said, I witnessed Theodore create these provisions. The remaining 10% of shares and unlisted assets are in trust, condition sealed, he added. Dimitri stood, face flushed, this is insane. Ronan barely graduated high school, played warehouse worker instead of learning business, and gets a mysterious phone. Maybe it's Bitcoin, Sterling mocked, or Dad's way of saying Ronan gets nothing because he contributed nothing. They made me try unlocking it there, watching like vultures as I tried Mom's birthday, their meeting date, the company's founding, nothing worked, just the password field and 243 days remaining. It's worthless, Dimitri declared, like his contribution to this family. A week later, I returned from a job interview to find security outside the penthouse, Sterling supervising as they packed my things into garbage bags. This is a family home, he said, not meeting my eyes, and per the will, you're not family anymore. Where am I supposed to go? Not our problem. Maybe your warehouse buddies will take you in. They threw out my clothes, Mom's annotated cookbook, my laptop, claimed as company property or heirlooms I had no right to. Dimitri arrived with a lawyer. Don't make this harder, Ronan. You got what Dad wanted, a phone. Be grateful it wasn't nothing. I spent that night in my Honda Civic behind a Walmart, the phone on the dashboard, taunting with its locked screen. I tried tech shops, online hackers, an NYU encryption professor. This isn't commercial, he said, it's government level, maybe higher. My brothers thrived, Dimitri announced international expansion, Sterling threw penthouse parties, posting champagne and models on Instagram, acting like I'd never existed. I worked 12-hour diner shifts for minimum wage, lived in my car, showered at a gym until my membership expired. The phone stayed with me, even when I had nothing else. Some nights, in the back seat, I stared at the countdown, wondering if Dad had gone insane. But I'd promised, I wouldn't give up, no matter how impossible. My 18th birthday came on a rainy Tuesday, October, parked at an I-95 rest stop where truckers left me leftovers. The phone sat on the passenger seat, countdown at 0. At 6 a.m., my birth moment, the screen exploded with light, password field gone, one contact, Theodore's legacy. I pressed call, 3 rings like years, then Dad's voice, clear, happy birthday, son. You've reached the age. Now the real game begins. I couldn't breathe as he continued, if you're hearing this, you kept your promise, didn't let your brothers take it, didn't sell it despite desperation. Your brothers failed their test, taking what seemed valuable, discarding what seemed worthless. You understood worth isn't always visible. The screen showed GPS coordinates and an access code, Building 47, Blackwood Industrial Park, Sub 3. Enter code 7 Alpha Crown 1960. You have 72 hours before automatic transfer protocols activate to a backup beneficiary. Don't let that happen, son. Everything I built is waiting. The recording ended. I sat in my rain-soaked car, processing. The industrial park, 40 miles out, was warehouses my brothers called unprofitable, tried to sell, but Dad vetoed. With half a tank and $17, I drove through morning traffic. The park looked abandoned, weeds in cracked asphalt, most buildings dark, but Building 47 had life. Samuel, the warehouse security supervisor, sat in a booth, smiling, right on time, Ronan. Your father said you'd arrive this morning. Samuel, what are you doing here? He slid a key card through the window, I work where I'm needed. Your father reassigned me 3 years ago, waiting for you. Building 47, Sub 3, elevators through the loading dock. The building's interior defied its rundown exterior, clean hallways, modern lighting, subtle cameras. The elevator hid behind a maintenance panel, activated by my card, descending deeper than any basement should. Sub 3 required the code, 7 Alpha Crown 1960, Dad's birth year. The door unsealed with a pneumatic hiss. Inside was a 3,000-square-foot room, screens on the north wall showing logistics networks, Syria, Somalia, Venezuela, in languages I couldn't read. Servers hummed on the east wall, lights blinking like they were alive. A desk in the center, my grandfather's polished wood, held 3 items, a leather journal, a laptop, Dad's note, and a framed photo of Mom holding me as a baby. The journal, in Dad's handwriting, dated a week before his death. Ronan, if you're reading this, you've found what Blackwood Logistics really is. The company your brothers inherited is legitimate, profitable, a cover. For 23 years, I've used shipping routes to move humanitarian aid through combat zones, medical supplies past embargoes, education materials into occupied territories. Every loss Dmitry complained about was supplies reaching people. Every inefficient route Sterling wanted to optimize was a lifeline to forgotten places. The laptop powered on, no password, showing accounts in Switzerland, Singapore, Cyprus, Caymans, $400 million combined. A sticky note in Dad's writing, this isn't wealth, son. It's responsibility. The phone rang, live, caller ID, Foundation command. Mr. Blackwood, a crisp British voice, I'm Harrison Pike, Director of Operations for the Blackwood Foundation. Your father said you'd call on your 18th birthday. We've been waiting. This is real. Very real. For 23 years, your father built the largest underground humanitarian network, saving 2 million lives across 47 countries. Officially, we don't exist. My brothers have no idea. None. They got the visible company, you got what matters. Your father designed it this way. Harrison explained, the phone's biometric lock was an AI monitoring my choices, my survival, my refusal to surrender it. Your brothers failed when they threw you out, chose property over family. You kept a promise, even through hardship. But I don't know how to run this. I'm 18, worked in a warehouse. You know more than you think. Your summers weren't random, your father trained you in logistics. The workers you befriended, 17, are Foundation operatives. Samuel runs our North American security. My mind raced. Carlos taught routing efficiency, Marcus hid sensitive cargo, Elena forged manifests. They weren't training a warehouse worker, but a smuggler. Pull up file designation Crown 7, Harrison said. The laptop showed corporate documents. I was majority shareholder, 55% of Blackwood Logistics. That's impossible. The will said 10% in trust. Your father wrote 17 wills for different scenarios. Your brother saw one crafted to test you all. You got 10% in trust, plus 45% in shell corporations, transferred to you at 6 a.m. I owned the majority, my brothers didn't know. Harrison continued, every inefficient route was a foundation run, warehouse workers were operatives, buildings were safe houses. Last month, we delivered chemotherapy to Syrian children, water purifiers to Bangladesh villages, educational supplies to South Sudan camps, hidden in legitimate shipments. How did Dad fund this? Brilliantly, skimming profits through methods your brothers never examined, a percentage here, a rounding error there, $400 million over 23 years. The phone buzzed with encrypted messages, bank confirmations, asset transfers, my name in real time. One more thing, Harrison said, check the desk's bottom drawer. Inside, another phone, unlocked, with a contact list of senators, ambassadors, CEOs, foreign ministers, Dad's allies, waiting for me. What do I tell them? That Theodore Blackwood's son is ready to continue his work. But first, you have a board meeting tomorrow. You're the majority shareholder. Your brothers called an emergency session for third-quarter projections. They don't know what's coming. I arrived at Blackwood Logistics at 8:55 a.m., in Dad's Armani suit, kept safe by Samuel in Building 47. Dimitri sat at the table's head, Sterling reviewing reports on his tablet. Security! Dimitri shouted, remove this person. Sit down, Dimitri, I placed legal documents on the table, I'm the majority shareholder, 55%, as of yesterday. Security hesitated, Sterling grabbed the papers, face paling, hands shaking, this is impossible. The trust was sealed. We'd have been notified. The conditions were sealed from you, I said, taking Dad's seat, transferred automatically on my 18th birthday. Maxwell Thorne confirmed this morning. Call him. Dimitri's face went purple, you manipulated Dad, tricked him. We'll contest this. Go ahead. Dad used the best lawyers to make this ironclad. But while you waste money, here's what's changing. I didn't fire them, petty revenge wasn't Dad's way. Dimitri was excellent at operations, Sterling at PR and expansion, they just needed to know what the company stood for. 15% of profits go to humanitarian logistics, I said, and 17 warehouse workers are promoted to management, effective immediately. You're insane, Sterling slammed the table, they don't have MBAs. They understand better than you think, running parallel operations for years, saving lives while you counted profits. Over 6 months, I revealed the foundation to my brothers, not from trust, but because the work was too important to hide. They needed to know why routes couldn't be optimized, workers couldn't be fired, why losses were our greatest victories. The turning point came showing Dimitri footage from a Jordan refugee camp, children receiving medicine we smuggled through 3 war zones in automotive parts shipments. That girl, I pointed, has leukemia. Our inefficient Route 7 keeps her alive. Dimitri stared, Dad authorized this? Dad built this. Every loss you complained about, every questioned decision, saved lives like hers. A year later, Sterling came to my office, the same where the will was read, I'm sorry, he said, meaning it, for how we treated you, for not seeing what Dad saw. He saw potential in us all, I replied, you and Dimitri got the visible company to run efficiently. I got the phone because he knew I could survive without wealth. We got what we needed to become who we were meant to be. But you got more, money, control, purpose. No, Sterling, I got responsibility. Every decision affects thousands you'll never meet, families in war zones, children in camps, doctors in forgotten places. The money isn't mine, it's theirs. Control isn't power, it's purpose. 3 years later, the foundation doubled its reach, safe corridors in 12 new conflict zones, medical supplies for 30 field hospitals, educational materials to 200,000 children. My brothers are allies now, Dimitri runs the legitimate business funding our work, Sterling manages PR and government ties. We're not close, but united in Dad's legacy. The phone sits on my desk, unlocked but mysterious, receiving coordinates for new missions from unknown sources. Harrison thinks Dad programmed contingencies. We follow every lead, always to people needing help. Dad said wealth isn't what you have, but what you can afford to give away. Homelessness taught me wealth, loss taught value, a locked phone unlocked my purpose. The real game began, and every life we save proves I was the right player to trust. If this story moved you, like and share it with someone who needs to hear that the greatest gifts can hide as challenges. Comment a time when something worthless became priceless in your life. Subscribe for more stories about purpose, patience, and holding on when letting go seems the only option. Thanks for listening.